All of you online, and welcome to today's topic. It's time for inner work. My name is Shane Hiralal, and I'm a senior manager at an audit firm in Sydney. And I've been with the Brahma Kumaris for the last 25 years, practicing meditation since I was about 9 years old. Our special guest today, whom I will have the pleasure of interviewing, is Christine Donoghue, who manages the Brahma Kumaris Australia's National Coordinating Office, and she will be sharing her wisdom on how to shift our focus towards our inner world and how meditation can help us deepen our connection with our true self and our true identity. Christine has been practicing meditation for over 30 years and is very well known for her creativity and her active nature. So welcome, Christine. In this busy life, most people tend to look for happiness from external sources: cars, fame, money, title, and even relationships. But we have forgotten that the happiness that we seek comes from within when we focus on ourselves. In recent times also, the focus on inner work becomes much more relevant as the world outside has paused, and a lot has changed in the outside world, but also a lot has changed within our inner world as well. So today, we will explore how we reconnect with ourselves and our true identity, and how meditation actually helps us, and for me, has been the foundation of creating a better quality of life and truly tasting the difference between limited happiness and true happiness, something that we can control from within us rather than the outside, which, let's face it, we can't really control, can we? So without further ado, welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Shane. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to everybody listening.
Thank you for being with us today. Can I ask, what was it and how did you get into meditation about 30 years ago?
Yes, well, listening to your introduction, you've been doing meditation almost as long as me. So that was interesting to note. It's coming up to, I think, 34 years this year, but and time goes so quickly, but at the time I was studying engineering in university, and although externally many things were okay, I really felt there should be something more, there should be something internally. I wasn't satisfied. And so I started to look for an answer, and I wanted something just that worked. I didn't mind what it was, but I wanted it to work. And I guess I'd tried a few things that didn't work, and actually they were detrimental to me and my happiness, long term. So the trigger, I suppose, that was sort of a trigger, that thinking that had been happening for some time, that, where is that answer? Where is that that
piece,
something,
yeah.
the missing piece, like something was incomplete, and like I wasn't feeling that I was really moving towards, my own happiness. Even though I was doing a lot. Yeah. So, and then there was a free course in my suburb.
Okay.
So I went along to the Raja Yoga Centre there, and I'm still here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So for a lot of people, this whole pandemic has forced us into isolation quite abruptly, right? And for most of us, we don't really know how to disconnect from the external environment. We identify ourselves with work, with study, with keeping busy, being busy. So in your opinion, how do we learn to focus our energy from within and direct it to things we can control and empower ourselves when perhaps there's no one around us, or we're living in isolation and there's no one to take care of us? So how do we focus our energy from within?
Yes, it's been abrupt for all of us, whether we meditate or not, but quite unexpectedly we were put into a situation where our daily routines changed, our company changed, our habits had to change. And so I think that's been a good thing, although, many people have suffered and are having hardship because of it. Still, we need to take the good thing out of it. I think one of the things you mentioned there was when we have time on our own, we can see, where does my mind go, where do my feelings go. So it's starting to sort of notice what's happening inside me. And it becomes about what is my own experience. It's not about what I can get stimulated from outside. So that's one thing. There are many ways that you can start to become more aware of what's happening in you. Obviously, meditation we're going to talk a lot about today. You can try online, you can try little meditation commentaries, you can do journaling. That's also a very good way to start to focus inside. Even if you have hobbies or some sort of creative individual expression, that's very good. The other thing is you can start to turn your conversations with people to things that are more perhaps meaningful on that level, rather than just talking about cars and real estate and whatever it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So I think, those things start to turn the content of your behaviour towards something like that. But think also, the thing is, it's got to come from inside, that motivation and feeling of what do I want. So start to think about, what's really important to me. And again, there's a whole goal-setting culture that we have. So have a little goal that's something that's more about you and enriching your quality of life. That, okay, what is it that I would like to achieve or have within me? Maybe set yourself a time if you like, but like that.
I think that is important to set that time out for yourself. And I think this pandemic has given us that opportunity to actually do that and take the time out and go within ourselves and do the journaling stuff. So I agree. Another question that I had was, how do we stop caring what other people think or trying to impress people or gain their acceptance or acknowledgement? Basically, how to not let the other people's opinions affect us, because it's so difficult to stand up for what it is that you believe, or trying to be the better person because you're worried about how you're perceived from the outside world, even though it's foreseen to be something good. So how do you not don't let it affect you, per se?
Yes, this is a great question. And I think we've all been there. You might have that experience in one field of peers or with your work or whatever it is. And if that's okay, it could come somewhere else. It could come in, in situations where there's authority and you want them to approve of you or like you, or you want them to say that what you've done is good, or because it makes you feel good, isn't it?
It makes you feel better.
So
yes.
Mostly we do that because it makes us feel better. We're getting something from it. But I think sometimes, in order to be approved of or accepted, we might suppress our own opinion or our own feeling. And so we put aside, maybe what our inner self is telling us. So what would you say, experience is like a sign that it is time to do some inner work, because it means we're under the influence of things. And so again, finding a time out to make a space where I'm not influenced by those things. And sometimes when people sit to meditate, those sort of feelings and thoughts can come in, like, did this happen, will that happen, worry about, whether it will be right, or whether I made a mistake, or whether what somebody thought, or what somebody felt, or what they might do, or
overthinking.
Yeah, and you could spend all your time overthinking things that haven't happened and may not happen. And so I really think just giving ourselves positive input is really important. And it's acknowledging the goodness of the self. It's already there. We don't have to make it up, and we don't need someone else to tell us. So whose life am I living? It's mine. It's going to be my life. And I think my experience is that it takes time. It did take a while to sort of get there, but gradually I feel that's increasing, and it's like a very nourishing attitude towards the self. So seeing what things are good about the self, what are the one's good qualities, and we do focus on that in meditation, to choose a quality and really nurture that, put it into practice, do things that are not just for myself, do things that are for others, not in the way of people pleasing, but how can I share what I have that's good, that helps other people, practically. That's also very good. Another thing that is really important is to be in good company. So we have our friends, and for some reason they're our friends, we like them, we like their company, maybe they're fun, maybe something, I don't know. But, and that's okay. But if there's a little voice inside that sometimes says, this isn't really what I want to be doing, or I feel more like I'd like to be quiet or have some time for myself, make that time and find some company, even if it's online, or some reading that is reinforcing the inclination to do that inner work. That's reassuring me that the thoughts that I'm having, the feelings that I'm having are okay. Because we pretty much go through all the same things. But we think sometimes, I'm the only person in the world, who's having this sort of idea. But no, we've all been through lots of things. And the thing is, your journey might be at a different pace or at a different stage than somebody else's, which could be your peers or your family or your colleagues. So we can't, kind of go along to fit in always. And that can be painful, to break from the norm, or to go against something that seems acceptable. It could even seem, like people might think it's bad, or worry what's happened to you. But you've got to have a lot of faith in yourself.
It's difficult to do though in practice, because it's, when you're so used to with the same group of friends, for example, or the same clique of people that you hang around with from your neighborhood perhaps, or something like that, it's very very difficult to step away, because that is your comfort zone per se. But you're right that when you start to have this little feelings that come from within you that are triggering you or making you think that I should stop caring about what they think, or why is this affecting my state of mind, and why do I feel this way, then it's you're right, about time to sort of revisit and get the company that you'd like to hang around with, so that you can also feel empowered. So it's just very important.
Yeah, definitely. And a large part of it too is communication. So sometimes we don't know what everybody else thinks, and it doesn't really matter, but we may need to communicate more that, I'm thinking this, or how about this way, or we need to do that to connect with the deeper part of other people, to connect the deeper part of myself with the deeper part of other people. Otherwise, we all live a bit on the surface.
We assume a lot.
We assume.
Yes, that's right.
We assume so much. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you don't know. I had a friend who used to say, always meet people, even the people you are familiar with, as though you don't know them.
That's interesting.
So there's always
curiosity.
a lot more. There's a lot more within each person than we know. So I think it's really important to keep that going. And that's
And what are your thoughts on like maintaining that self-respect? Because of course there's you can do for other people to make them happy and to please them and to maintain that relationship that doesn't cause conflicts. Because I know a lot of people don't like conflicts. It's not innate within us. But where is the fine line between that and your self-respect? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, another excellent question. Self-respect, I think it's quite a long journey to have very deep self-respect, and this is a spiritual journey of really valuing the self as a soul and living that out, according to according to my original qualities, which we say peace, happiness, love, the intrinsic qualities within. This is something that can, self-respect. It can bring up questions at every point, can't it?
Yeah, it does.
And it's like we're always at a crossroad.
Yeah.
In this situation, even if it's just within a conversation, do I do this? Do I do that?
That's right. Yes.
And so this is part of that self-awareness and inner work, to be checking all the time. Is this aligned with where I really want to go? What's the outcome going to be? So you have a long-term vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we ditch our friends and relatives and say, well,
Even though some of us would like to.
well, actually, yeah, that's right. Well, maybe some we do, but that's what happens in the world, isn't it? That's become a culture that if you don't like that job, you get another one. If you don't like that girlfriend or boyfriend, you get another one. You get them instantly on your phone. These things. So it's like. We don't need to just throw everything out, but keep adjusting. And I think also time with ourselves is also helps us to develop self-respect and just see, where am I going, what do I want to do, am I living out my little goal,
for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, no, thank you. Another question I'd like to get your thoughts on is about aspirations. So I'm sure a lot of viewers that are watching this as well are pretty ambitious, just like myself. Having worked through the ranks over the last 14 years to where I am now, is it wrong to have some happiness that is derived from excelling at work or excelling at school or completing a project? Is this a form of ego because it's a external happiness per se? I guess it's the same of if you're buying your first house, or if you finally manage to afford that brand new car that you can finally manage to purchase. What are your thoughts on that in terms of that type of happiness?
Yeah, definitely those things give us happiness, and I think congratulations. I think why not everything we do? Why not do our best? And it's very satisfying to be able to fulfill what we feel is our potential. I think that's really important. It's also important not what we do, but how we do it along the way, and how we treat other people. So when you leave, will they say, oh wow, he got right to the top, or we say, oh, he was kind.
That's right.
How will you be remembered for that? And the other thing is that happiness, why not be happy? But also it doesn't define us as a person. Those things. I mean, we say, oh, they're temporary, and that's a bit of a cliche in a way, because at the time it feels fairly tangible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You did it, and it's great.
It's like pure pride per se.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think everything we need to express. We need to do what we can do. But also it should be. How can it also be there that's good for other people? So not something that's detrimental for other people, or that harms other people, or that's that doesn't take us away from our path of what we feel is ethical, or
that's right.
The right value. So if you have to sell your soul to get that car or whatever it is, what's the point? If you have to be, because, I couldn't live with something that I feel is corrupting me inside.
Absolutely.
It's like that corrosion, and it wouldn't.
You can't sleep at night, can you?
No, that's
you
right.
Wouldn't be able
You
to.
can't. You can't.
Yeah.
And so your conscience has to also be very happy, and be going along with you for that ride and enjoy.
Okay, that's good to know. In terms of, I guess what you're saying is it's pure pride, but as long as it doesn't come from, say, in the corporate world, that you're trying to sabotage someone else and trying to take over that particular position, and again, it plays a path on ethics and what's your personal ethics to arrive to where it is that you want to go. So that's like your goal. So it's okay to have these goals, because it makes you a better person or a better version of yourself, but don't sabotage other people. And I like that what you said in terms of, the memory of you. Were you a kind person, or how did you get to where you are? That memory is very important of your personal brand per se, which is good.
That's right. Yes. Recently we had a class where someone was saying, be your own brand ambassador. So it's like each person has their speciality, has their qualities that are good about them, and that's what you bring to it. You know, whether it's whatever level it's at of your job or your goal. So you're going to bring your special quality.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the comment section in online, but if you guys wanted to ask any questions, feel free to comment in there as well. So, Christine, for those of us that have never really meditated before, what are the top tips or the easy learning pieces that you can give us that will facilitate us learning how to meditate?
Okay, yes. Well, if someone, if you are looking into meditation, if you shop around, there are many different kinds. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about Raja Yoga meditation, which is what we do at the Brahma Kumaris. So this is focusing our thoughts on ourself as a spiritual being, as a soul. So we talk about the human being consisting of the human and the being. And within the being, or the living being, there are the thoughts, there are the memories, there are the feelings. And this is like the being that's experiencing everything, experiencing not just our thoughts, feelings, our whole life, and all the memories that are stored away. So while our body is our external identity, if you like, and the role we play, it's the one inside that's experiencing it and that's driving our life. And so what we're doing is bringing our thoughts to a point of focus that we develop feelings of peace and love and happiness during meditation in that experience. So we channel our thoughts along a path of, like thoughts like that in order to create that feeling. So it's about creating a feeling in our mind and not just maybe reciting the words because they might not feel real. So the idea is that we develop that. And around each soul, people say we have an aura or an atmosphere or a feeling, a vibration. And you can sometimes feel that from other people or a situation. If you go into a room or you meet someone, they don't even need to speak, but you can feel,
you can feel their vibe.
You can feel their vibe.
That's right,
If they're happy, if they're angry, if they're peaceful.
Absolutely.
So you can feel that. So what we're doing in meditation is normally we sit. You can sit cross-legged or lie down if you want. We won't do that today, but normally we just sit cross-legged and keep our eyes open, and we focus our eyes just somewhere in front of you, or quite often we use this point image that's behind us, that sort of thing, just to bring things to a focus, to concentrate. And when we start, we'll use a commentary, a meditation commentary with some guided thoughts to help us to focus. Eventually you don't need to do that, you can do it yourself, but it's best to reduce sensory stimulation as much as possible in your meditation space, to make it quiet, to make it so that you're not eating, drinking, whatever, different senses. So not everybody has that space, but you can put earphones in. We do say, you can meditate anywhere, anytime, which is because ultimately it's about controlling our thoughts. It's about using our thoughts in the way that we would like to, rather than just allowing the thoughts to run everywhere, which is what most people's minds are doing, isn't it?
So most are we trying to keep our minds blank, or what are we?
Not blank, but we're filling them with positive thoughts. We're filling them with thoughts that are aligned to the qualities that are intrinsic to our nature, our human nature, our spiritual nature. Because already there are thoughts there, so the difference between meditation and other thinking, or normal thinking, is one, it's just positive, ideally. Two, it's more quiet, it's slower. Yeah, so that's the main things. Whereas the rest of the time, we can have, well, they say tens of thousands of thoughts a day, which is a lot of thoughts. Yeah, our mind is not meant to be blank. It's not meant to be empty. We're not empty. We're living. You know, we're alive. So we've got, you know, it's like enriching life. So some people say, well, you know, they want to be free from life. They want to be away from life. You know, have no life. You know, like they say, I want to get off. You know, stop the world. I want to get off. But which was, you know, a saying that used to be said. But it's not like that. Actually, one, you can't.
You mean living in isolation, as in away from the world in general?
Yeah, living away from the world. Yeah, just stop everything. Although that's all what the COVID has sort of, in a way, it has stopped. It's stopped the world. So what happens when the world stops? What happens inside the self? That's really interesting. So many people have had more time to slow down, and they've enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christine. Could you share a story where the practice of meditation helped you, where you thought you were happy, and with whatever it was in the external environment outside, and you had an epiphany or realization that that wasn't true happiness for you, and there was something missing? Do you have an example you could share with us today?
I would say it's not that I thought I was happy. It was more that voice inside saying, "This isn't enough. This isn't this. It looks all right, but it's not happy." You know, it's more. I think you wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm happy. What should I do about it?" You know, it's more like, "Oh, what's missing? Where's that missing piece?" So it's sort of
you
for
didn't
me,
feel fulfilled. It wasn't
fulfilled and. Sense of purpose, all those sorts of things. I think I went for a job once, and you know, they used to do a little bit of psychological analysis of the person, and I said something about, I wonder about the purpose of life, and I think I got a cross for that one.
Oh, wow.
because people didn't say that at that time, you know, especially in a young
true.
age. But yes, I would say that on the surface, I remember a conversation I had with someone, and I said, yes, you know, I was feeling unhappy, and I said, okay, I've got this, that's fine. I've got opportunities, that's fine. There were no obstacles. I have friends, that's fine. Everything was fine. And I said, so why aren't I happy? You know? And I said, and the answer was, I don't know. You know, I couldn't understand what I wasn't connected to, and so I guess that, you know, made me feel I should keep my eyes open for something that's going to, you know, give me that answer.
So was there a eureka moment for you where you knew, or did you have an experience of meditation?
Yeah, I would say that even from my teenage years, I was feeling that I never felt attracted to, you know, kind of things in the world so much, like having possessions and all that sort of thing. It just wasn't there, you know.
It
didn't do anything for me. But when I went to do so I got to the point where I thought, okay, I've got some options, and one of them is just to look inside and just work it out. Just go along that path, you know, give it a go, and whatever it takes, then I'll do that and see what happens. And so I did go to do the meditation course, and on the first day I had a very deep experience, a very, I don't want to use jargon, but I felt very aware of myself as the inner being.
Yes.
And a very deep sense of peace, and it made me feel very calm, and it also felt very natural. And so I thought, this is resonating with something for me. So that was a very deep experience.
That was your aha moment.
Yeah, it was a significant part of the journey, for sure. Yeah.
So a lot of people effectively, you know, start to meditate and they want to see the results like this. So if I meditate once, twice, is there a number as to how many times I need to sit down and meditate for me to see the results?
It's different for everybody. I think there's definitely a number, but everybody's number will be different. I was totally committed to that, and maybe my journey up till then made that number one for me.
All right, yeah.
But I think it depends on your mind and how committed you are to practice. Routine is also very good. Routine helps you set a little boundary that, okay, this is really the time for inner work. And the other thing is, it's a saying, I think Carl Jung said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. So sometimes when people sit and meditate, some unpleasant emotions or thoughts come up, and then we want to run away from those. But I think if we be persistent, then it really helps. There has been some work on research on meditation showing that it does help to reduce anxiety, depression, those things. And the power of thought is really is a very subtle but very powerful force in our world. So I think we can't underestimate that. So I think, we really just have to keep trying, but obviously if one kind of meditation isn't working for you, then try something else. I think to sort of, it's not a forced kind of thing.
Practice, yeah.
You should enjoy it. It's supposed to be enjoyed,
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a punishment.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can even lie down as well. Try
You
different
can,
methods.
you can. There are different kinds, and more and more, I think we realise as the world kind of grows in awareness, we realise there's not a one size fits all either.
Yeah, I remember when I started meditating as well at a young age. 5 minutes felt like a whole hour kind of thing. So it is a disciplined practice, just like when you want to work out, go to the gym and change your body or lose weight. It's not going to come overnight. You just have to put in that practice, and you'll definitely see the results. And I quite like the art of meditation, even at work. So where it's a stressful environment or while you're studying, to just take that second to go within yourself and just breathe, which I find quite helpful as well. So yeah.
Yes. Nowadays there are lots of little meditation snacks you can find online. Short commentaries, even 2 or 3 minutes. We have a thing that we do, a practice called traffic control. And that means controlling the traffic of the mind at certain times throughout the day. And that's pausing for a minute, even if we're in the middle of a conversation, provided the other person is in on it.
Yes.
But to just stop, recenter, relax, just review what I'm doing here, in this situation.
Because we're all very reactive. We live in a very reactive world, so a lot of us just react like this because we have to think like this at work or in studies. So it's very reactive. So it's very difficult to train our minds to just take a moment.
Yes. Yeah, it is, but I'm sure you've been doing that for a long time too, but I find it's really great. I find so many situations have come to a very productive conclusion just because of that ability to stop and pause. Even if it's like when, say, we're sitting around and we're trying to work out a solution to something, and then it's time to stop, and then we stop, and then someone will say, well, how about this? And we'll say, oh, yeah, that's the answer.
It's a different angle.
It's very different. It's and it just really gives space. So it's a great practice either for yourself or, if you have with a group of people that do it. I think it's good what you're saying. That we can do short periods of time, but long periods of time in meditation are also very good to when you stop that sensory stimulation of doing, listening, so on. then you find out what's inside. And so sometimes we have a silence day where people spend a whole day just sitting, doing nothing, you could say. So, and in our active world, that's seen as, that's a waste of time. But actually, it's not. It's not, because we look at, what's our focus, what's our priority, and what do we really want to achieve.
I like the silence days, and I don't know if any of you online have actually done a silence day, but initially when I thought about a silence day, I just thought it was just keeping quiet. So I thought, this is really easy. I will just keep quiet, and there'll be no noise coming from my mouth because I'm silent. But what you'll find is your mind is the one that needs to be silent, and it's not a waste of a day, because when you actually try it for yourself, you will see that you actually need to silence the mind, and you'll be actually more mindful of where your thoughts are going, and the 10,000 thoughts per day will actually resonate with you because you'll have so many thoughts. So it's really good.
Very much. And I think also not talking too much is also just generally a good practice for a quieter mind, because sometimes people say everything and anything that comes into their mind, and I don't think that's very helpful.
Yeah.
So, just really valuing my thoughts, valuing my words, valuing my time.
You just reminded me of a saying from Mahatma Gandhi, actually, and he said, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony, and that is what happiness is, which is great if that comes from a place of contentment already. But what if, for example, I don't really like what it is that I'm being asked to do at work or at university, and I'm just saying yes for the time being and smiling, but in my heart and in my mind, I'm actually not really happy with what it is that I'm being asked for. I'm not being fulfilled. And the saying, fake it till you make it, also sort of, comes into play with that happiness. And so would you say happiness is therefore a choice, and how so?
Yes, it's an interesting one, because I think life is full of these sort of situations where we've got to reconcile what's happening with what's happening out there for me, what's happening inside. And what you're saying, that the thinking, feeling and doing are equal. But and then you're saying the thinking is one thing, but the saying and doing are another thing. So in that example, say, this example of being at work, and they're not aligned. So there could be different reasons for that, and every situation's going to also be different. So there's also not a one-size-fits-all answer for every situation. It could be, it could be different things. One could be that your boss is asking you to do something that you feel is unethical. So what are you going to do about that? You've got to decide, can you live with that or can you not? Or is it that my role is one thing and the boss's role is something else, and am I stepping over that boundary? Is it within my scope to decide that thing? Or is it my role to just do as I'm asked or instructed or directed? Because sometimes they might be asking because they know something I don't, believe it or not. And this is the ego sometimes, I think, that I know the better way, or I know how to do it. And maybe I do, but maybe it's not the right time for that. Or maybe, again, it's this thing of communication. So maybe they're telling me, and so therefore I feel, I have to do. But perhaps I can communicate and I can say, well, did you know this? And this happens if we do it that way. Here's another idea. What do you think of that? But offering it in a very humble way.
Yeah.
Because when you get into their position, if we're going through that progression of climbing the ladder, as it were, what will you want people to say to you? If you're the boss, what do you want them to say? Say if you say to someone who you're supervising, can you please do this? And they say, yes, I will. And then they go and do it, and they come back and they say, yes, I've done it. then you say thank you very much and your anxiety goes down, isn't it?
That's right.
But if they say, no, I'm not doing that, I want to do it this way, it's like, oh, what are you going to do? So, I mean, it can be different situations, but, and it depends on the severity of that as well. If it's just absolutely, heart-numbingly miserable, then maybe we need to get out of there. Yeah, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Or if they're being abusive, if someone's being, mistreating us, maybe we need to do something about that. Because we don't need to put up with that either. And that takes a lot of courage. Or if it's a superior, it also takes, or, someone who has authority, it also takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, excuse me, I've got a different idea here. And then you can go away from that situation thinking, oh my goodness, did I just lose my job? But actually maybe it's something you had to do. So I've also found meditation has helped with that even, to give me that confidence. Because I was very shy and, still am in certain situations, but other ones I've learned to listen to that voice and say, be able to speak.
Do you think meditation kind of also taps into your intuition? So when you get into a meeting or in that sort of environment, does that practice of meditation help with tuning in to that higher frequency?
Definitely, because one thing is that it sort of lets you let go of your ego a bit. And the ego will always say, okay, there's two ways to do this, my way and the wrong way, and so you'll stick to your idea.
That's right.
Whereas if you don't have ego, you might say, okay, my idea is this, and everybody chucks your idea out the window, or, and you can let go of that defence position, that defensive attitude that I have to go in and I have to maintain my power position, I have to prove that I'm smart or
superior,
whatever, something.
My way or the highway.
Or competent or, knowledgeable or whatever it is that the situation is asking of you.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely, I think you can, your intuition, it's like the voice inside again, isn't it? And if you just be quiet, your voice inside is talking to you all the time, but I think we don't listen. It's there, sometimes it's sort of screaming at you. But
it's taking time to tap into that as well.
Yeah, but it's quiet and it's gentle, and if you just let the energy be without trying to force things, then the answers can be there. And then the beautiful thing about it too is that you don't need to take credit for that. It's not an ego-driven thing. It's not arrogant, like, oh, I found the answer, It's just like, no, what's best for everybody here, and let that be, and just be really happy that...
Win-win situation type of thing.
Yeah, definitely, because that's it. When everybody wins, we feel happy, don't we?
That's right.
Well, I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we do.
No, for sure. Okay. Let me just see if there's any comments in the meantime. Yeah, time is going fast, actually.
It is.
It's already 4:45. I can't see actually any comments or questions on there.
No, they've been really interesting questions, and good chance for me to sort of think about these things and share that with everyone. So, shall we have some meditation now?
Yep, no, that's a good idea.
Okay. So we have a little commentary we'll play for you. So just sit comfortably. And as you said before, you can keep your eyes open. You can close them if you prefer. Rest your eyes somewhere in front of you. We'll play a little commentary which is about just being the inner light. So there's some soft music in the background, and this is for about 5 minutes or so. So if you've got any distractions around you, just turn that off, close the door, and we'll just have a little taste of meditation. So follow along with your mind. If you find that your mind wanders, then just bring it back. As soon as you realise, just bring it back. We're not going to beat our mind into submission, but just guide. It's a guidance and it's a flow. So the thoughts flow anyway. We're just going to get them to flow in a very positive direction into that inner work. So have a look inside.
Om Shanti. Being of light. This instrument of mine, the physical body, is a precious vehicle, a valuable, invaluable instrument. But that which is more valuable and more precious is the being making this instrument function. Within this assembly of bones and muscles and amazing organs is a being of light. In the center of the forehead is the point of light that makes the whole world move. I am this being of light. I, the being of light, express myself through this body. But the body is not I. I am light. I become aware of the power within this point of light. Within I, the being of light, is everything that I am and everything that I have. I am the eternal child of God. And within my own being are my virtues, my powers, my talents, in the awareness of who I am, I radiate the light within. And in the awareness of this inner light, I hold my head up high with dignity. Om Shanti.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. And if any one of you are interested, we have a website that is called www.eternityinc.com.au. Someone will type that out in the comments section below. There is a book by Aruna, and it's called It's Time to Do the Inner Work, that will help you. And we also have Awaken Your Inner Wisdom by Jayanti, Sister Jayanti. And there's some meditation CDs as well at Eternity Inc. Inner Light, and also Journey Within Experiencing Meditation by Michael Timmins and Kim as well. I highly recommend also Find Your True Self. So this is the Inner Space Journey by the Brahma Kumaris. For all of those that have tuned in and registered, we will be sending you the next program, which is on the 31st of May, if you're interested to join, and that is called Flourishing Futures. And we will also be advertising that on the Facebook website, as well as Brahma Kumaris Australia as well. Thank you very much for joining us, Christine.
Thank you, Shane. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And thanks to everyone as well joining us and tuning in online. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good, great topic, and great conversation. So I hope that everyone's enjoyed the afternoon, and we'll have a look into meditation and maybe some of that reading and those commentaries that were mentioned by Shane. So good afternoon, and as we say, Om Shanti, which means I am a peaceful soul and you are a peaceful soul. So greetings of peace for your rest of your day.
Om Shanti.
We'll finish with a song.
Sure.
It's also a meditative sort of song. We've got those CDs as well.
Absolutely.
On the Eternity Inc. site, which produces a lot of our products. So we'll just sit quietly also. This is like a meditation.
Thank you.
Here we go again, asking the same.